True story, you know the haps. Let me break it down for the new boys, no cap. They respect the trap, nah fam, I'm free. And freedom ain't free until we all living free. Mindset fix, another day, another obstacle. Family feed lies, your dreams is what they robbing you. You gotta make it possible, gotta make it possible, gotta make it possible. Make the future possible.
Greetings, my good people. It is me, Rolo C, and welcome back to Rolo Runs the City podcast. I am your host, Rolo. If you want to, feel free to get at me at rolorunstthecity@gmail.com. Feel free to email me if you like. Do anything that you want to do, whether if it's a negative comment, positive comment, neutral comment, criticism, praise, any sort of critique is fine. Where it's all welcome. It is all welcome. And I am your host, Rolo, and we are going to talk today about why seek validation from others. I thought this was going to be an interesting topic today because we live in the instant gratification society, in today's society, where we want everything fast. And not only do we want everything fast, but we want to just be praised for everything. Not only are we into instant gratification, but today's society also harps on the participation trophy. Obviously, I grew up under different circumstances, and most of us that aren't millennials have grown up under those circumstances where you really had to show up and you had to show out. And right now, we're in a situation in today's society where people want to be congratulated for just showing up, because people rarely do show up nowadays. And not only that, but people are very addicted to their social media. They want to know how many likes they're going to get for their pictures on Instagram, or how many times their quotes are going to be retweeted on Twitter, and who's going to go ahead and chime in on the comments when it comes to riding with them whenever they're putting something out on Facebook. So we definitely come from this society now that not only is it instant gratification, but it's also wanting to get praise and who gets the most praise. And it's a detriment to one's mindset whenever they seek these things and say they put out a picture where, they don't have a shirt on and they're showing their six-pack abs and with their hot model girlfriend, and they're upset because they have 215,000 people following them on Instagram and they only got maybe 1,200 likes on their picture. So they're like, well, what's wrong? This picture here got 30,000 likes and this one here has only got about 1,300. That's something's wrong. Something's not right. Did we drop the photo on time? Or did not everybody see it? And it's crazy because you're taking away the beauty of the situation, which is you in great shape taking a picture with your hot girlfriend. And I think a lot of times now people are doing things so they can be validated by others, so that way they feel as if they're winning. And when they don't get the attention they're deserving of, that they feel that they deserve, it comes to a point where they're in a situation where they think they're losing. And that's definitely it's a faulty perception. For me personally, I had social media in the past. I had Facebook before. I've had Twitter. I've had Instagram. And I ended up walking away from those platforms simply because of the detriment it has to one's mindset. I loved Instagram before when I first got on it because I was able to control the content that I was able to look at. Like for me, I'm definitely into, exercising, self-improvement, eating right. So these were the things that would come up on my Discover feed. It'd be, several food pages will come up, or, workout routines, definitely, quotes of self-improvement. Obviously, we're a self-improvement, personal development, professional development podcast, and that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. So when I did have Instagram, these were the things that I had in place. And not to get off subject or anything, but one of the reasons why I just went ahead and got away from social media was because I would go on my Discover feed to see if I've seen anything new that can help me in my life personally. And I ended up in a situation where I'm seeing, you know, and this is fine. I mean, if this is the space that you want to live in, I have no problem with it. I mean, do you, but I just don't prefer it on my Discover feed because not only do I not want to see this stuff, but, you know, I have young children that are around me a lot if I'm on my phone. And, you know, next thing you know, I see there's a big booty girl shaking her butt to the new Cardi B WAP song. And I'm not trying to have my kids be exposed to that. Now, am I trying to shelter them from the world? Of course not. I mean, they're going to get exposed. However, I don't want them to say, hey, yeah, my dad was the first one to show me that, because that's definitely false. So, not trying to get off topic, but that's one of my reasons for basically getting off social media, because the fact that, you know, you kind of lose control of the content that you want to see. And funny thing is, with the algorithm in Instagram, if you follow people who follow these type pages and they like their stuff, then it's going to pop up on your Discover feed, which I had no clue about. But, you know, doing further research, I see that's the reason why things kind of changed in reference to my Discover feed and things that I saw on Instagram particularly. But anywho, not trying to get off topic, but basically just trying to use the example of IG, because you have people who seek so much validation from others that just because if they didn't receive a certain amount of likes on a picture right away, they think not only did their picture fail or they dropped it at the wrong time, but they think themselves are failures in that point. And that's definitely not good mental health and great mental awareness when you're going through things of that nature. So I definitely want to talk more about why seek validation from others. And, you know, I just want to mention that, you know, many people criticize for many reasons. However, the most reasons happen to be that they're discouraged to step out on faith, which I mentioned on my last show. Well, I'm sorry, not my last show, the show prior. It turns out that they're placing their own limitations on someone else who's taking action. And that happens a lot. I mean, it's something that occurs all the time. It occurs in marriages. It occurs with siblings. It occurs in distant relatives. It occurs with friends. No, don't do that. It's not a good thing to do. You know, I just don't want to see you fail. And to be quite honest with you, the most successful people have failed the most because of the fact that they stepped out and they decided to be the uncommon. The common man wants to play it safe. They want to know the outcome prior to getting into something, as opposed to going in there blind, relying on one's ability and one's resources to get things done. So that's one of the things that pretty much discourages many people that are scared to step out on faith and actually pursue their dreams, because they're seeking that validation, and a lot of times they don't really get it. And the bad thing about it is they seek the validation from somebody that does matter to them, but at the same token, the people that matter to you a lot of times won't support you. Not only because you're out there trying to do something different, but they're scared of you becoming successful, because now they have to measure up to a bar that they'll never get to, because they don't have the intestinal fortitude to put in the work and to shamelessly say, I'm going to go ahead and do this regardless of what people think. So that's truly how I feel about that. And it's very unfortunate that many people have to go through that. For me, if you're a person that wants to live outside the norm and you're going to go ahead with a full head of steam and you're going to take things on, then feel free to do so. I'm going to tell you like this. There's going to be points where you're going to succeed, and there's going to be many points where you're going to fail. But understand that failure is a part of the process. So if you're going to fail, continue to go harder, reassess what you're doing, and just continue to go forward and what you're doing. So I'm not going to be the type of person that's going to tell you don't do it or try to discourage you from doing something that you want to do that's going to possibly make you feel fulfilled. I'm just going to tell you, understand, failure comes with the territory, so does hard work. If you do understand that that's going to actually occur, and you have the understanding that work and failure is going to be a part of the process, and you're willing to still go out and do this 150%, then my friend, you have my full support. But if you think that you're going to do this, and if you're going to be successful right off the bat, and that you're not going to have any speed bumps along the way, and the sign of difficulty comes in just a little bit, and you're going to quit, you can't expect me to have your back, because you don't believe in your own ability to make something happen, so why should I? And I firmly believe that. And I think that that's the way everybody should have the approach whenever they're supporting somebody going out for their goals and their dreams. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And the reason why it doesn't happen, much like I harped on earlier, is the fact that you have somebody that's scared to step out because they question their own ability, and because they know that somebody that's next to them, whether it be a family member or friend or whatnot, is going to go for the gusto and make it happen. And they feel like if this person succeeds, okay, then people are going to look at me as if I'm a failure because I'm closely related to this person. Not so much as in like relatives, but just, hey, you know, birds of a feather flock together. And unfortunately, when you have one that flies away and he's ascending and hasn't even reached his cruising altitude, and you're stuck on the ground, much like a penguin, because penguins are the only birds that don't fly. And if that's what you're scared of, you cannot place your limitations that you have for yourself on that eagle that's about to soar, because you're a freaking penguin. So that's basically how I feel about that. I'm going to keep going, bring up some more examples for you, but my suggestion is be an eagle, don't be a penguin. And if you're around penguins, do what you can to get away from them, because they're not flying anywhere. Well, you know, we also know the old adage, misery loves company. So, you know, they always say, well, this person is not active in what they're trying to do. That's good for me. Me neither. I'm not active either. So the whole thing is that folks don't want to feel left behind. And it's a bad thought. How can I put this? It's just a bad way of thinking. I mean, there's no other metaphorical way to put it. It's just a bad way of thinking. It's just a typical crab in a barrel mentality where you're keeping each other down and no one's rising to the top because everybody's little snappers are going, man, I'm just talking about animal life today, and I look at eagles, you know, penguins, crabs, you know. But I'm just trying to be as, I guess, metaphorical as I can be, because I feel that metaphors, some people don't get terminology straight on, but when you use the metaphor, they're like, damn, that's true. I remember going fishing once. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. You may not get me the first time, but hopefully my analogies will take you the rest of the way. But it's just crazy, you know. I used to be one that was, that sought out for validation from others, until I realized no matter what you do, you can't make everybody happy. Okay? That's when I started. That's really when I stopped caring about the opinion of others. I mean, I said, wow, it doesn't matter what I do, regardless of what I do. I made this person happy, but then I done upsetted that person. Or this person reveres me in a higher light, and this person doesn't think of me at all. Like, doesn't even think I'm a human. You know what I mean? And that's when I realized that I just stopped caring about, the perception of others and trying to seek validation. We're all subjected to the court of public opinion, and that's okay. Anyone who's doing anything on any level is subjected to this. And as long as we understand that, and we go in with the knowing that we're always going to be criticized for what we do, and you understand that that comes with the territory, and you're able to just have yourself in the greatest mindset possible, and you can continue to move forward with your life and not let that be detrimental to the way you think, then more power to you. Keep going, okay? Because that's just the way it's going to be, We can't let the opinions of others deter our judgment or how we conduct ourselves as individuals. Just straight up. We can't. We have to make sure that we carry ourselves out the way we're supposed to. Can't really do things based on feelings, because feelings doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you a good result anyway. People who react on emotion and feeling end up in despair. So you have to really be methodical, you have to be logical, and you have to really process yourself and move forward. You always have to think to yourself, and it's good people can interact and you're both being professional but yet being yourselves at the same time. But you always have to think to yourself, this person may get a bit offended, maybe. This person may be getting a bit emotional. They may have some feeling toward the situation. So let me make sure that I'm as cordial as I can be. At the same token, I can get my message off. And understand that there may be some backlash. But I have to be the best that I can be to be professional. So then that way, gas on gas creates more fire. Okay? So we don't want to ignite things. Somebody's got to maintain professionalism. Somebody's got to understand the other person's side of the story. And when you have two people that can interact and do that, that's great. Then you come to a great understanding, great compromise, and things get done. But as long as one person in that conversation is thinking that way, then you can have great resolution. If you have both people thinking that way, even better. But what you cannot have is two people just acting a damn fool. You can't have that, because nothing's going to get done. Feelings are going to get hurt. And you just don't know where people's mindset is at that time. A person can be way up there in age, and then right away they could think they're Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they'll try to get into a tussle with you. And that's something we don't want, okay? But, so we just really have to think logically, and we really have to do what we can to not take things personally. Really think with logic, have a methodology about how you carry about doing your stuff, and please I understand that we're emotional, we're human beings, we're not robots. But with that being said, we can make the cognitive decision on not being emotional, thinking with logic, advocating for a situation, being very understanding of what's going on, and we can continue to move forward. Okay. For me personally, I was the type of person who just wanted to be liked by everyone. Now I could care less about anybody's opinion, truthfully. Majority of the critics can't perform the task, okay, of what they critique, okay? That gives that person who's able to do so the upper hand. Think about it. A lot of these guys that are, they have these sports shows and, they're critiquing basketball players or baseball players, have never either, stepped on the court or the field, never hit a home run, right? But they've been reporting this stuff for 30 years, 25 years, but they can't even hit a 25 or even let alone a 10-foot jump shot, okay? But they're quick to tell, basketball players of how they're messing up, or a person who doesn't even know what it's like to have a 95-mile fastball go right down the pipe and you strike out. You know what I mean? So they just don't have any clue. Where you have a lot of political analysts who sometimes have not even been in the political arena to critique a politician's word or what they're saying. And many of these guys, they have their hands tied behind their back and they want to make the great decision but can't because they don't have the backing because of X amount of reasons. Okay? But right away, you have the political analysts, or you got the NBA analysts, and guys don't even know what it is to be in that arena. So the way I look at it, whether if it's negative or whether if it's positive, if they're talking about you, at least they're talking about you. That's the way I see it. Okay. I'll never forget, man. Back in the day, I was watching ESPN. And you have an NBA analyst on there. And I hate to kind of use this as an example because I don't want to just call out names and stuff like that. But I'm going to use it because I think it's a great example for what we're talking about on seeking validation. Right? So back in the day, you had an NBA analyst. I mean, he still works for ESPN until this day. His name's Tim Legler. Right? He used to play for the Washington, at the time, the Washington Bullets. Used to be their three-point ace back in the day, right? He was criticizing the performance of NBA player Tracy McGrady. And this was at the time when McGrady was in Orlando playing for the Magic. Okay? And McGrady fired back at Legler, criticizing him on how he hadn't accomplished much in the NBA and how dare him even attack him in that manner. You know what I mean? And it was crazy because you had NBA analysts, fellow analysts of the ESPN network that were trying to have Tim Legler's back, and they were trying to basically put out his resume of what he had done as a player in the NBA, which I'm not saying he hasn't done much, but Tim Legler was a role player. He wasn't really a guy that had high minutes. We'll just put it like that. And the reason why I'm using sports is because, trust me, I'm a big sports fan. But at the same token, it's very relative to life. A lot of these guys, they're not just dumb jocks, and trust me, there's a lot of cerebral people who are in the sports arena, and a lot of this correlates to life. So I definitely can appreciate what sports can do when it transfers into real life. Okay, so it was crazy, but the moral of the story is that people are gonna talk. And that's okay. I mean, they're just going to talk. Like I said, you're always going to be subjected to the court of public opinion. But you don't have to ride with their opinion because at the end of the day, it's opinion. It's not a fact. And at the end of the day, what is a fact? A fact is a strong opinion. Okay? That's validated by information. Okay? But at the end of the day, you can still consider it as an opinion. But anywho, I just wanted to point out that at the end of the day, Tracy McGrady retired. He became an analyst at ESPN as well. He's actually got a show that he does with Rachel Nichols called The Jump. And he was enshrined into the Basketball Hall of Fame out there in Springfield, Massachusetts. So he is forever immortalized being in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest NBA players to ever grace the court. Okay? And not only is he a Hall of Famer, but he also does the same thing that Tim Legler does at ESPN. He's an analyst. So the moral of the story is sometimes you're going to have people talk to you, but you don't necessarily have to fire back. They're going to talk to you. They're going to talk about you. They're going to talk at you, and that's okay. You just have to keep running your race. Because McGrady's doing the same thing that Legler's doing right now, except his opinion is probably looked at a lot more as a certified opinion because of the fact of his Hall of Fame status. He was one of the greats to ever do it. He's forever immortalized in NBA basketball. And Tim Legler's just an analyst who could probably lose his job next week And then he could probably get hired by another network, but it's okay. The whole point is that McGrady didn't even have to really fire back because he let his game do the talking all these years. And, that's just what it is. You have to trust the process. When you step out on faith and you have belief in your abilities and what you can do, there's no need to fight off haters. Work speaks for itself. Point blank, period. Okay? Seeking validation from others, man, is just keeping you away from your destiny. It really is. And, I can attest to that personally. So I got to a point where I stopped seeking validation from somebody else, and I just started doing whatever the hell I wanted to do. I did what made me happy. And evidently, that has panned out well for me. And I'm very grateful for it. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I'm given. And it truly is a testament of not only stepping out on faith, but just not caring about public perception. So I really think that a lot of people are kept away from their destiny because they're seeking validation from other people. You cannot control the external. You can only control what you can control. And I talked about that in my first episode of season 2 when on the Why Vote episode. So yeah, feel free to check that out as well. But yeah, so you have to do what's in your heart. You have to trust the process. And continue to make progress without questioning yourself. If you can manage to do these things, trust me, my friend, you will be absolutely successful because you're putting your head down, you're getting on the grind, and you're making it happen. You're like the old adage says, where focus, where focus goes, energy flows. I'll be surprised if I got that right, because a lot of times I try to say these sayings, and I know they sound cliche, but there's a lot of truth to the stuff that's being said. If you really want to put, your foot down and just make it happen. Say, you know what? I'm not going to tolerate this for myself anymore. This is what I am going to do. And you just get down and you just start grinding. So I truly am a firm believer in that. But anywho, just want to let you guys know where we stand and what's going down. So anywho, this is going to wrap up for this week's Rolo Runs the City podcast. Like I said, if you guys have any comments, feel free to comment on my videos on YouTube. If you have any comments and you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, feel free to email me at rolorunthecity@gmail.com, and I will feel free to answer any of your questions, whether if you want to praise, whether if you want to critique, whether you're neutral. It doesn't matter. If you want to say hello and you want a shout out, I got you. But I greatly do appreciate you guys. I appreciate the listenership. I appreciate you guys sticking it in there with me. And like I said, man, stop seeking validation from others. Continue to make things happen. Continue to move forward and be the best version of yourself that you can be. This is your man, Rolo C. Rolo Runs the City podcast. And we out. Peace. We'll see you next week.